But what Ingram, who I don't like, was really, really solid.
Right. Okay, so welcome everybody to the YouTube stream. We're getting started. We're setting up. I'm here with Dave, and we are going to be rocking and rolling here with Call to Reason, Reality Talk Radio. Coming up at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock, right after the news, 8:06 to be precise. Hope you will be here with us, and we're looking forward to seeing you and having a good time as well. All right? See you here shortly. Dave, you're going to be on this mic.
Okay, where's the Wi-Fi password? Do you know what it is?
It's just HUD and guest. There's no password.
Mm-hmm.
Use HUD and guest. You can, if you put your seat like right here, then you can set your laptop up and show you how to do it. But don't do any of that until I get my shit done.
Okay.
I'll just...
Yes, that worked.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see what I'm doing.
Is Beth sick?
No.
Cool.
Well, I'm sure she'll be ready.
Cool.
For the show. Today is the
20th.
Today is the 20th. Music queued up. Yeah, can you do me a solid?
Yes.
You don't probably put the microwave in the kitchen. 30 seconds, the kitchen is like diagonal from where we are. If you hang a right and a left, you'll see it on the right.
That's all. It's gonna come on.
Okay, I'm on time. I'm doing good. Got all my gear set up. I'm doing good.
So, Barr
Mm-hmm.
was the guy who pardoned everybody for Iran Contra, but where was it?
Mm-hmm.
There was this. I was reading all about that last night till like late.
What I wanted to talk about was the podcast clip you shared with me yesterday about why people should lower their expectations about a Russian collusion thing.
Yeah.
That's a counterpoint that no one ever hears on Call to Reason. So I want you to
Okay, so
basically
let me look.
be that guy and just
Say, listen, as much as I would like this to.
yeah, you know what I mean. Just you can even credit him in articles or whatever, but I want you to carry that point of view into that section of the conversation and articulate it the way he did and the way you had me listen. That was a counterpoint that was worth consideration. So I want someone to get it.
So I will put it down.
So your headphones are there.
Yep.
And let me see. Are you in? How does it sound? How does it sound?
Sounds perfect.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So I got Facebook ready to go. I got Twitter ready to go. YouTube's already on. Instagram's ready. I got my music queued up. I've got Facebook on for my stories. And we're all set. So once I start the Facebook stream, I'll share it. Did you see I put up the video from the congressman?
Yes. I gotta like that.
That's pretty dope, right? Did you like the way it looked?
Yeah.
The way I cut it?
Well, I didn't watch it on Facebook yet.
Oh, no, here's it.
I'll say call. The church.
We're going to be starting soon, y'all.
The church apologized with the Native American guys.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
It was so cruel.
Oh, I
don't
watched.
want to hear any shit about boys will be boys either.
No.
Who's go.
60 KTRC AM at 1037 K279 CX FM Santa Fe and streaming live at santafe.com.
Non-starter. Snow starts. I'm Christopher Cruz. Democrats are calling President Trump's proposal to end the government shutdown a non-starter. In a speech at the White House yesterday, the president offered to extend temporary protections for young people brought to the U.S. illegally in exchange for $5.7 billion to begin building a wall between the U.S. and Mexico.
As a candidate for president, I promised I would fix this crisis, and I intend to keep that promise one way or the other.
California Democratic Representative Zoe Lofgren says end the shutdown and then begin negotiations.
There may be some areas along the border where additional fencing is warranted. We could take a look at that. We have supported additional immigration judges, so there's plenty of room to talk, but we can't do that with the government shutdown.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he'll present the president's plan to the Senate this week. 9 tweets from President Trump so far this morning, talking about everything from poll numbers to amnesty to Nancy Pelosi. That fast-moving winter storm has left the Midwest with a lot of snow. Hundreds of flights have been canceled, says meteorologist Derek Van Dam.
The highest totals that we've seen across the state for over a foot in parts of Wisconsin, Ohio, and Michigan.
All right, everybody, thank you for being here.
A winter storm warning at the moment.
Some areas of northern New England and upstate New York.
You are with Loveless and soon to be Beth.
Today into tomorrow, the National Weather Service issued
right here on Call the Reason
or advisories for part or all of at least 15 states today, from Missouri to the northern tip of
And we
Maine.
are on the
Green
move.
Book won the Daryl F. Zanuck Honor at the Producers Guild Awards in Beverly Hills last night, beating such favorites as Roma, A Star is Born, and Black Panther. The Zanuck Award
We are
winner is
on
won
the
Best
move.
Picture Oscar, that is.
And I am just
20th
setting up the
29
last
times.
of the
7
actual
weeks after a
stream
powerful
cameras.
earthquake struck just north of Anchorage,
So our
Alaska,
friends
the
on
aftershocks
Instagram
continue.
may join us as well.
I'm Jay Farner,
I
CEO
want
of
to
Quickie
thank
Loans, America's
everyone for being
premier
here already.
mortgage
Tyler
lender.
the
Today's
T, I
fluctuating
see you on
interest
Twitter,
rates
my
can
man.
leave you with unexpected higher mortgage payments. At Quicken Loans, we've
Thank
created a new
everyone
way
who
to
is here
protect
with
you
us. You're on
from
Call the Reason. This is our
unpredictable
Sunday
interest
reality
rates.
talk
So you can
radio
buy
show
all the
right
certainty. It's called
here
Rate
from the
Shield, and here's
studio
how
of
it
Talk
works.
1260 and
With Rate Shield,
1037.
you can lock your interest rate while
KGRC Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. Thank everyone for being here. Bernadette, I see you on Facebook. We're going to be starting off in about 3 minutes. And we're going to do what we do. We are going to do what we do. Right here on Call the Reason. Thank all of you for being here. Dave, I'm so sorry to make you the errand boy, but you really, I can't get out.
Okay, let's
1 minute.
Okay.
Fine.
I'm trying to
1 minute of zap.
find the big E on probably.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah. Hey, Beth. Hey, Beth. Hey, Beth. Beth is coming on the camera right now, everyone. And she is joining us here. Hey, Beth, how are you?
Good morning. How's it going?
Good, good, good.
I'm digging your hoodie.
Yeah, I'm going, you know, Shaka Zulu. This Shaka Zulu Sunday on Call the Reason. It's Shaka Zulu Sunday on Call the Reason. I got the old Kango bucket. But
Awesome.
I think I'm gonna wear it, you know, when you're doing when you're having your meeting with hip hop moguls on the golf course. Look. It's working, right? Is it working?
Tell you what's going on there.
So I just got to make sure I'm in the right spot in all these cameras. See something going on.
You're a little blurry.
Well, that's just because I'm not settled yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a matter of settle.
Well, it's been one hell of a week, Loveless.
Yep, indeedy. It has indeed.
I'm gonna adjust. I'll be right back. I'm gonna adjust my lighting just
Okay.
a little bit because I'm looking a little. It's a really cloudy, nasty day here, and I'm looking just a little dark. I'll
Yeah.
be right back.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, brother. Thanks. Okay. There we go. Now I need to come down just a touch. There we go.
Anything?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay, Sonia. Brother Shaheed, what's up, man? Here on Facebook. Here we go, y'all. We've got 15 seconds. And we're going to be rocking and rolling. It's time for Call a Reason.
Volunteers and financial donations are also welcome. To find out more about how you can help by
Here we go, Beth.
money or food.
It's showtime. And we got Dave Packard, American citizen, in the studio with us.
Who we got?
Dave Packard. He's here. He's this is part of the new Conversation with America. We got a real citizen in here. Friend of mine that's bright. He's gonna check in with us from time to time. He's got some interesting perspective. I think people are gonna love it. Here we go.
News Talk Leader.
I play this this is how I start every show, this song. What's happening, Heidi, on Instagram? Brother Shaheed is with us on Facebook. Thank everybody for being here. You're on Call a Reason. Let's go!
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole round world. I wish I could share.
Good morning, Santa Fe. Good morning, world. 807 right here. Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader. And you're right here with Loveless and Beth on Call to Reason. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Santa Fe. Looks like it's cloudy on the internet thingy where Beth is in New Jersey,
Cloudy,
New
rainy.
York
We were
Metro.
supposed to get
But
snow,
it is beautiful here in Santa Fe. Partly cloudy, though, 23 degrees, on our way to a high of 45. Here in New Mexico's capital city, and we could not be more excited to be here with you. We've got a lot to talk about. There's way more going on than what we'll have a chance to discuss today, but we are going to cover the highlights of the chaos that's been happening this week. And we've got a special guest here in the studio with us. This is part of the Call to Reason's new initiative, our Conversation with America. So we've got our main man, Dave Packard, in here with me today, here from Santa Fe and from Truth or Consequences. And we're going to get some additional American perspective on what I'm calling Shaka Zulu Sunday. I'm dressed for the occasion, y'all. If you're not watching on the internet, on Facebook, I look like I'm ready to liberate some folk.
I'm going to borrow that the next time I come to see you.
I'm ready to liberate some folk, Beth, and welcome. Are you having a good time this Sunday?
I am.
Awesome.
We're celebrating the release of Airnaught's book here pretty soon, so that's exciting.
Awesome.
We had his co-author here last night for a little celebration, so yeah, it's been a good weekend.
Awesome. Well, Beth, we've got a lot to talk about today, starting, and not necessarily in any particular order, but there's so much going on. The Mueller investigation has had a couple of interesting twists and turns this week. To
say the least.
And by the way, Beth, let's let's both welcome my buddy and a new Call to Reason correspondent. He's done a couple of podcasts with me, but folks, he is an interesting thinker. My friend and yours, Dave Packard. Dave, welcome to Call to Reason.
Thank you, and welcome, Call to Reason. Hi, Beth. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad you're with us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, Beth, Mueller investigation is heated up and had some very interesting twists. The president made an offer yesterday that we can break down. He made an offer to compromise with the Democrats, and that's how he's characterizing it, as a compromise. But really, it's just a warmed over Oval Office speech with DACA and TPS thrown in a very, very dishonest, brokerish way. And I'll talk more about that when we break that down. A lot going on in the news this week. Mitch McConnell in the Senate still stuck, and we don't know exactly how to handle it. Is it raining where you are, Beth?
Is it what?
Is it raining where you are?
Yeah, it is. It's raining and it's foggy. You can't see anything outside hardly at all. Yeah, Loveless, and I think in addition to talking about those points, you know me, ever the media critic, I'm really interested in having a conversation about how the media is covering a variety of issues, like the Martin Luther King holiday, how they're covering the Women's March, and how they're covering this Pelosi thing, and also the chatter about Kirsten Gillibrand's bid for president. So there's a lot to cover today. The other thing that you and I both posted about on Facebook was about the situation in D.C. with those racist brats from that Catholic high school who are in town ostensibly to march for life, and because they're so-called pro-life, but a bunch of these kids surrounded a Native American man and bullied him and said horrific things to him, and he also just so happens to be a Vietnam War veteran, and I think we need to dig deep on that discussion. They surrounded him and chanted, "Build the wall," and at this point, after that, in terms of how Trump supporters see the wall, I don't think that there's any other way to discuss the wall than just a big monument to white supremacy, and I'd like to break that down because even the Boston Globe came out this weekend with an editorial from one of their conservative columnists, essentially declaring racism over. Did you know that, Loveless? Racism is a thing of the past, just like Martin Luther King forecasted.
Well, Beth, I hadn't heard that, and thank you for the news flash. Obviously, that's a mighty good thing to hear here on the Shaka Zulu Sunday on Call to Reason. That's important news.
I posted that to our Facebook site, and there are a lot of people this Sunday who need to shut the hell up. Loveless, I think that maybe in honor of Valentine's Day, that it would be a good idea for the two of us for the Sunday before, just to have a whole show dedicated to the single people, where we only do shut the hell up and sit your ass down the whole show.
The whole show.
It's stacking up. 5 minutes just doesn't cut it every Sunday.
We might even, if we do that, if we do a whole show dedicated to shut the hell up and sit your ass down, then we can throw in a couple of special segments like the ones we have done before.
We can get James Gagliano to do his Gagliano gag order.
Well, we can do that. And I actually had a conversation with James. Hopefully we're going to get our common sense conservative back on sooner than later.
Half minute.
Yeah, and but you remember the segment we did when we had the radio show in Atlanta, Beth, called "You Need to Change Churches." we can do a nice long segment on you know it's time. When you know it's time, you need to change churches.
We should do that ahead of that Tuesday, like right before Lent.
Yes, indeed.
That would be a good segment.
Yes,
that
indeed.
Would be a good show.
Yeah. So, Beth, we're going to take a short commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about those issues and more. We're going to talk a little Mueller. We're going to talk Cohen, his upcoming testimony to the Congress, and the mixed message signals. We're going to play a special interview that I did with Congressman Ben Ray Lujan, Democrat of New Mexico. I caught up with him at a Congress on Your Corner event this week, and I
saw a video of that on the Facebook site. It's awesome.
Yeah, we got us a video on that, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And so y'all stay tuned. It's 8:15, and you are right here with Loveless and Beth on Call to Reason. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, a lot to discuss. Issues, shut the hell up, sit your ass down. We've got our main man Dave with us as well. It's going to be a great time. Y'all just stay tuned with us right here on Call to Reason. And we'll see you when we get back.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
This hour is brought to you by K-Shi, the Zuni Connection at 227 Don Gaspar.
All right, everybody. Thank y'all for being here.
K-Shi, and Happy New Year, each and every one.
Thank everyone for being here. This is
grateful for the lessons and blessings of the past year, and we're beginning to
this is our special Sunday. We've got my main man Dave Packard here in the studio with us. Dave, you want to swing around and wave hey to the people?
Hey, everybody. Hey, good morning, Beth out in Jersey.
Good morning.
Sliding back.
Yes. It is from it's from this series, these British geniuses. Just go to YouTube and type in all caps Colors Show, and there'll be a whole a Colors Show. There will be a whole showcase of artists that you never heard of, with cuts that you've never heard, but they are dope, and I am playing a lot of them today because I have discovered a treasure trove of my kind of music. Thank everybody for being here with us on Call to Reason.
Mark your calendars for the 25th Super
The
Bowl
letter
on
A,
February 2nd,
Colors
2019 at the Santa Fe
Show.
Community Convention Center, benefiting the Food Depot. This annual fundraiser
The way we
features
spell it.
soup creations by local chefs, all competing for your vote for Santa Fe's best soup. Tickets are on sale now. Who will get your vote this year? Go to thefooddepot.org or call 471-1633.
I think that we should kind of present a Call to Reason playlist on Spotify to get our listeners fed into that. I just kind of re-up my ante on Spotify.
We could definitely keep that going hard. Anyway, I think everyone's gonna enjoy the music. I got a little something for everybody today on the music, mostly grooving though, and I'm being, as you see, if you're watching online, as you see, it's Shaka Zulu Sunday. So we are in the spirit of freedom today. Justice, right? Equity for all. And so I'm walking it like I talk it today, huh?
Viewers that you need to be be a little louder, Loveless, because our audience, at least on Facebook, cannot hear you well.
Okay, I understand how to deal with that.
Yeah, we got a couple of those. My friend Wayne is watching from Florida. Anyway, he joined us. James Washington joined us. And Alberto is trying to join us.
The Mariposa Montessori School is a custom-designed school situated on 10 acres. The campus is designed to provide children ample room to run, play, garden, and explore nature. Here are a few things the students had to say.
I like assistant stars.
Yeah, okay, so now, can you hear me, Beth?
Staff at La Mariposa Montessori is dedicated to providing
It
children
is?
ages 3 to 12 an outstanding,
Let me see what's going on with that.
in a nurturing, well-prepared, and multicultural environment. Find out how your child can be a part of this
5,
rewarding
4,
environment. For more
3.
information, go to LaMariposa
Here we go.
Montessori.com.
Here we go, y'all.
Queens have mastered the art of tuning out.
All right, tell me if it's better, everybody.
Returning your room
On
is a
Facebook.
home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Okay, 10 seconds, y'all.
Never give up until they buckle up.
Or another 15, actually. If you give me, Albert or somebody who's watching, give me more feedback on whether or not you can hear me. I think Beth's microphone might have been interfering a little bit. I've gotten her mic a little bit further away from the device, and it'd be helpful to know if that worked. So somebody tell me if you can hear me better. And thank you all for being here, by the way. Here we go.
Your dose of common sense and reality radio with your hosts Beth Cope and Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
Welcome back to Call the Reason, everyone. You're right here with Loveless and Beth at 822. You're on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. And Beth, we are, let's just jump into the craziness that happened with Mueller. We heard that Michael Cohen was going to testify before Congress. Then we heard two bombshells. One, that he was instructed to pay for some fake polling, misleading polling through Jerry Falwell's operation at Liberty University. And we found out about that because they're suing him for the rest of the money that they want. And then we heard a big BuzzFeed story that, shut the internet down and rocked the core. I've never heard the phrase, if true, spoken more times than I did during that whole fiasco.
Can I just talk a little bit about the media coverage on this issue, Loveless? Because
it was an embarrassment it was an embarrassment to the profession, and this is one area where I agree with all the Trump supporters. Journalism took a big hit with the BuzzFeed story and the mainstream media's reaction to it. Without corroboration, they passed that thing around hoping. You could see the bias. You could smell. The bias was palpable. And that's not real journalism. And so I have to say, I agree. It was shocking.
So there's a couple of things. Mueller, as usual, was precise and vague all at the same time. the actual content of the story was not at hand. What he had a problem with? It was the characterization of the facts that they had a problem with, and the sourcing of the information they had. So right now, what we have are some facts and some sources, and the facts and sources seem to be saying the same thing. Mueller says it's not being characterized the right way. It's very rare for Mueller to say poo about a story.
But he didn't say the content the content was inaccurate. He said the way it was characterized was
exactly
inaccurate. And what does that even mean?
Exactly. And so here's BuzzFeed. They don't really have if the facts and the sources are saying the same thing, they don't have really any other choice but to stand by their reporters. And what I found so frustrating about the media coverage of this is that the media, bam, and they did repeat, that they had not independently confirmed it, and they also let off with it if it was true. But what is the first thing they do? They're knocking on Speaker Pelosi's office and any Democrat that they'll talk to and say, if this is true, what will you do? And, of course, they say, if it's true, we're going to impeach him because this is against the law. And then, once the whole thing blows up, the media is like, oh, well, the Democrats were quick to jump on this. And I'm like, yeah, you asked the damn question, and they answered it. What is wrong with these people? It's like a circular crazy town that offers the public no support or information or help to help us digest this weird story.
Dave, what do you think about this?
I think there's still nothing. We'll get into it later, but I don't think there's any meat on the bone with the Russian investigation, with the collusion. Everybody's pointing to it. However, where is the meat on the bone? I think we're going to be really disappointed when they come with the whole report on the Russian collusion. Everything else I believe, but the collusion aspect, I'm a little skeptical.
What part of it do you find?
That's an interesting. We're gonna pick that up here in a minute, Beth.
Okay.
But before we go, we're going to go into commercial break. I had a chance to ask Congressman Ben Ray Lujan what he thought about what was going on in Washington, and I focused on a couple of issues. I went to a Congress on Your Corner event here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it was a good event. It was a great event, as a matter of fact. But, and I asked him about tunnels, because the day before we found out that there were 378 immigrants turned themselves into Border Patrol after they crawled under the wall through a tunnel. Been saying it for months, folks. It is the tunnels, stupid. We need to invest in tunnel detection technology as opposed to building a symbol of racism with all that money. And that's just common sense. Indeed it is. Just common sense. Now, I also asked Congressman Lujan about this potential of Trump running a criminal enterprise, but the most important question I asked him was what he is going to do and what he thinks about the fact that the Trump administration has been grossly and egregiously, almost criminally neglectful, asleep at the wheel when it comes to veterans' suicides. I asked Congressman Lujan what he thought about this, and he gave me a pretty interesting answer that I'd love for all of you all to check out. Here's Congressman Lujan, and we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back. Y'all stay tuned right here with Loveless Beth and my main man Dave Packard right here on Call the Reason. It's 8:28, and you're on Talk 1260 and 103.7. KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader, Congressman Lujan, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on with President Trump not spending the money for veterans suicide prevention? We learned that you all in Congress allocated $6.7 million last year, and he only spent $57,000. Does that concern you at all?
Look, anytime the dollars are allocated for suicide prevention, especially with veterans that are not being expended or invested in the community, it should be concerning to everyone. We're losing, what I think it's 22 veterans a day to suicide, and there needs to be a complete commitment associated with making sure that every dollar that is available, that is invested, and I know that they're not enough, we need to do better and do more, is going to go towards the care and treatment of our veterans so we don't lose a one.
Given the increase we've seen in veteran suicide as a result of the neglect of not spending the money, is there anything Congress can do to hold the administration accountable for this spike in veteran suicide?
Well, I think that we need to get to the bottom of anything that is causing and contributing to veteran suicide, but the importance of investing in mental and behavioral health. I can't imagine that there's anyone out there that does not agree that we have to do everything we can to protect our veterans, including this administration. But that's why oversight is going to be needed. We need to get to the bottom of these questions, get answers, make sure we're sharing those with the American people, but especially our veterans who have earned the respect that we should be giving them.
And one other question, what do you think about these news revelations now that the FBI has been investigating the president for counterintelligence activities? Maybe he has been a Russian agent. They're really trying to get to the bottom of that. Are you concerned about the fact we may indeed have a criminal enterprise in the White House right now?
Well, Loveless, what I would say to all aspects associated to the investigation by Special Counsel Mueller is that it's critically important that he's able to do his job unimpeded, without political interference, and make sure that he's presenting the facts to the American people. Revelations this week, as reported by BuzzFeed, if they are true, that indeed that the president directed Mr. Cohen to lie to the Congress, that's obstruction, and that is a crime. But again, the investigation must be able to be completed, and there are pieces of legislation that are in place to ensure that he'll be able to get his work done. In addition to that, I have very much appreciated the testimony by Mr. Barr, who is the current nominee for the Attorney General of the United States of America by President Trump, in that he would not impede the special counsel's investigation and would allow it to conclude. And we're hoping that that will be done, again, unimpeded, but we have legislation in place to make sure that we're able to protect the special counsel, to make sure he can do his job. And again, another concern, another reason why we have to get to the bottom of this.
And as a new part of the leadership now, you're an associate or deputy speaker. Give us your top 3 goals for 2019. What are you? I know you guys are hitting the ground running, and I know you're working hard. What are you all going to get done for the American people in 2019?
I'll give you 4. One, we have to get the government up and open and running. Right now, that's what we've been trying to do since day one on January 3rd. We also were clear about commitments that we made to the American people, especially during the last election cycle. There were 3 commitments that we made. One was to do everything we can to lower healthcare costs, lower prescription drug costs, pass a strong infrastructure bill in America, roads, bridges, water, wastewater infrastructure, broadband. That means fast, affordable internet in all parts of the country, including rural America. Also including the importance of renewable energy infrastructure that has to be a part of that package. And then lastly, cleaning up Washington, D.C. Everything that we must do to reduce the influence of money into campaigns, bring back campaign finance reform, address gerrymandering, restore the Voting Rights Act in America, make sure we're restoring ethics in America. So I'm looking forward to what we will do with the introduction of what we have called H.R. 1, which is that package that I just described. Peter DeFazio, who is our chairman of the Transportation Committee, is moving aggressively to work in a bipartisan fashion on the infrastructure bill. I'll be working directly with Frank Pallone, the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee, which is a committee I sit on, as we embark on everything that we must do to lower out-of-pocket costs for the American people when it pertains to health care and prescription drug prices.
Ben Ray Lujan, thank you again. We appreciate everything you do.
Well, thanks for everything you do, Loveless. Thanks for keeping the community informed.
Just bring me the sunshine with your smile, and I will be okay. No matter how the rain falls when you come, I will be okay. Just give me the sunshine with your smile. I will be okay. No matter how the rain falls when you call, I will be okay.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
Simply the best entertainment is at Buffalo Thunder Resort and Casino in Santa Fe. Valentine's Day, enjoy an evening.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here on Call to Reason with Loveless and Beth. I hope that you all can hear me now. We got a few complaints early on. Oh, wow. Black Muslims for her son harassing Native American men. Dave Packard, our studio guest, just showed me a headline, Beth. It says, and I quote, MAGA's hat boy's mother, the Catholic boy's mom, blames black Muslims for her son harassing Native American man.
I saw that.
They did make him uncomfortable. The kid was made uncomfortable by the men, so it was their fault.
Wow.
Right?
Right. Beth. Now, I mean Beth. Beth.
But according to that,
now, the one group of folks, hold on. The one.
Boston Globe, racism is over, so we don't have to.
Oh.
Is it because are the black Muslims to blame because Native Americans happen to be one of the few groups that Minister Farrakhan has never criticized, but rather embraced with brotherhood? Is it because, as a black man, he knows that really this continent was populated by Africans before it was anybody else? Just look at all the ancient pictures of Native Americans and then look at your cousin Ray Ray. I'm just keeping it real. I'm looking in the mirror myself. So it's an amazing phenomenon how people choose to not be accountable for their bullshit. Always got to blame someone else. And Trump, of course, he's led the way in doing that. And now he's got everyone. Everyone.
Racist in public on video.
But now it's the black Muslim's fault.
Black Muslims.
As opposed to lack of home training. No, she can't admit that. She can't admit they've raised another affluenza, white privileged asshole, and coming at it from a Catholic perspective. That end of the Jesus industrial complex. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here on Call to Reason. You're right here with Loveless and Beth. And if you can, please hit that share button. If you're watching the live stream, go ahead and hit the share button so everybody else can watch it too. That's how we grow Team Red Pill, and we're grateful that you're here. We're going to be back from commercial break here in looks like about 2 minutes. So we still got a good amount of time to talk here, Beth. Tell the good people what else is going on.
Let's say hello to some folks real quick.
Okay.
Loveless Jr. is tuning in. Jimmy King, a friend of mine from Charlotte, who was just recently in New York sometime, just in the last year with his band performing. Jimmy, give your band a plug on the thread here, and we'll give you a shout out. I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the band just right now, but I missed you when you were on Governor's Island, but we'll definitely check you out the next time you come. My mom, Liz Whitaker, joins us from Virginia. She was listening to the live stream and just joined us on Facebook. Hey, Mom. And that's who we got. Alberto
Zalma.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for giving us some direction on our sound this morning. It's good to see you joining us. That's who we got on Facebook right now.
Awesome. Well, we've got a bunch of folks on Instagram, and we've got Twitter plugged in and dialed in as well. It's actually a great Sunday to be doing this, and so we're very happy that all of y'all are here with us. All the streams are rocking. As you can see by the dress code, it's Shaka Zulu Sunday right here on Call a Reason.
You should have told me.
We are in the mood for freedom, y'all. Okay, here we go.
Back to Call to Reason, your dose of common sense and reality radio, with your hosts Beth Cope and Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
Follow Johnny into the wild. Showed you my shame, ran a mile. I sing your lullabies, melodies like a symphony. We walk the same and start a fire. I just need a little mercy, mercy on me.
840 right here with Loveless and Beth. We're going to break down this one issue real quick before we take our next commercial break. Beth, I'm upset that, Trump keeps enabling these racists. He keeps inspiring these racist folk to go out in public and act like uncivilized trailer trash in the name of making America great again.
Thank God.
What the hell is this all about? Now we got a Catholic diocese group of young kids from a all-boys Catholic school supposed to have some home training. Supposed to have some, as Mike Pence called, Christian education. Well, this Christian education resulted in these boys surrounding a Native American Vietnam veteran who was peacefully drumming in ceremony for the spirits to bring about the peace and healing in this nation that it so desperately needs, Beth. And in response, these boys surrounded him like old punk. It was like watching a movie from the 1950s. Where a bunch of punk, smart-ass white boys surround some innocent, helpless victim and then embolden each other, feel big and bad, because now they're in a big group and they can all talk trash and bully. These boys receiving a Christian education, supposedly raised by good folk, coming from supposed good families, instead put on their MAGA hats, make sure everybody knows they're with Trump. Make sure everyone knows they're with Trump, representing Trump. They surround this man and harass him and say and do the most dastardly racist things that if all were equal on the playing field, they would have been scalped. And I don't mean that in a derogatory or racist way. They would have been had that man and the people with him chose to be so uncivilized and evil and participate in that level of evil. And then his mama gonna get on and talk about she blames it on the black Muslim. What? When did Minister Farrakhan get involved in this? And if he had, he'd have been standing there protecting from those evil devil bullies. Beth, I need to know what you think about this. And I want to hear from Dave, too.
So when the story first broke and we were posting it on Facebook and then I started reading, what I realized was the buried headline in all of this is that these kids were in D.C. to march for the so-called pro-life rally. And I am going to say so-called pro-life. They're not pro-life. They're pro-birth. These people surrounded this man who is indigenous, who was here first, and his people were here first, and they circled him and shouted, "Build the wall." And maybe he might agree if this was happening 400 years ago. Hell yeah, let's build a wall and keep you white, diseased people out of our country so you do not wage war upon us and give us diseases and almost kill us all. Yeah,
did everything they could to kill all.
Before we all get here. And Loveless, this whole thing that these people are pro-life, I am calling complete bovine excrement on that. BS. They are not pro-life. They are pro-birth. Because what this proves time and time again, as they always prove time and time again, they do not give a damn about anybody besides themselves who are living outside of the uterus. And that's just how it is.
And boom, boom, boom. Dave, what do you think about all this?
I can't add much to what Beth had to say, although I will add that hypocrisy, it seems, is the greatest luxury of this group. They can say anything, their believers will believe anything, and it's immoral. And nobody calls them out on the immorality of what they're doing right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, in spite of all this, though, interesting story. We've seen multiple polls this week that show Trump's base beginning to crumble.
To crack.
The numbers are going down. And he's now looking at a much different landscape than he was. So we're going to play this number dedicated to him on the way out. When we come back, we're going to talk about collusion. We're going to give Dave a chance to explain why he thinks there isn't anything to the collusion thing. Although there's a lot left to be worried about still. Interesting perspective. Y'all stay tuned right here to Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. It's 8:46, and you're with Loveless and Beth. We'll be right back.
In the middle of the road, got no time to count my sheep today.
Spinners.
How could I let you get away when I knew I need somebody soon? Ooh, how could I let you get away when I knew I need somebody soon?
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
Market Street is an extraordinary grocery store where flavor comes to life. Sushi is hand-rolled daily, and our kitchen is ready to serve your next delicious meal.
Okay, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Beth, enjoying my time with you. Are you having a good time so far?
I love it. I love that Dave is here with us, too. It adds another dimension.
It sure
to our
does.
ranting.
It does.
Thanks,
indeed.
Beth.
Hey, both of you, please hit the share button. And so should all of you. Please hit the share button. If you're watching on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, please hit that share button and let everybody know that they, too, can join Team Red Pill and get a chance to enjoy Call to Reason.
I've already done it.
Awesome.
So we have a few other folks who joined us this morning. Our friend Michael Waldrop is watching from Atlanta. Good morning, Michael. Shahid has joined us. We might have said hello to him already this morning, but he added a comment. He says, Black Muslim, the new racist dog whistler. Yeah, that's totally 100%. Marissa just joined us and waved hello. And our regular viewer and listener, Sylvia Rossi from Atlanta joined us and also shared. Thanks, Sylvia. We certainly do appreciate it. So yeah, Loveless, this
Hey Sylvia, can you hear me okay now? We're doing a mic check on Facebook. A couple people early on said they couldn't hear me very well. I think it's just because I had the microphone in front of my mouth. Can you hear me better, Beth?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. Fine. I think we're okay. Anyway, folks, we got a lot more to talk about today, but we're going to jump in and break down what's happening with this collusion thing. Dave Packard is a good friend, and he and I, we banter about when it comes to politics quite a bit. And, you know, Dave, you want to swing around? Dave, you might be able to get in the shot. Yeah, just watch.
Beth.
Watch the cord, Dave. Watch the cord. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Dave is here with me as well. And we listened to a podcast yesterday. He told me a little bit about, they talked about obstruction, and it made a pretty fairly decent case for why obstruction might be the barking up the wrong tree. Although there are plenty of other areas of criminality and, you know, corruption and other obstruction. Obviously, there is some argument for obstruction, but Dave has raised some interesting points based on information he gathered from this podcast and others that I thought was worth bringing in kind of as a different viewpoint to consider.
Yes, and what I was saying, Beth, is basically the collusion charge, that's where they're going to have the problems with. The financial stuff, they have the evidence. In 2 years of this investigation, there hasn't been a leak where it said Trump's on tape with collusion. It's the first investigation ever. They say that there's no leaks. Oh, we got 9 seconds left.
9 seconds and we're back, y'all. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. We've got 30 seconds. All right, so watch that cord, bro.
To me, I think that the best place for us to go to figure out what's going on is the actual documents that Mueller is releasing whenever they arrest someone. I think that's the best place to go to figure out what's going on. And, you know, the legal scholars that I've seen and trust have said over and over that the obstruction
Your dose of common sense on Reality Radio with your hosts, Beth Cope and Levis Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
Man, usually up, whipping for the stereo. Tropicana, watch them go bananas. When they see him work, they be like, there you go. Coming in on a run, no time for the 2. 3, 6, 9, she buying my 2. Funk in the rock, my jam with a few shit. The shoe fits, don't mind if I do. Just climb out the blue, into the goal. Only thing I never do is fit to the mold. Deal with the soul, deal with the felt like Hulk Hogan and guitar solo on the belt like intro unnecessary. I've been dope, young legendary.
Welcome back to Call the Reason, everyone. You're right here with Loveless and Beth and special guest Dave Packard. We are having a good time right here with you, and we wanted to jump into collusion. Dave, I invited him on the show today because he turned me on to a theory about why we might be barking up the wrong tree when it comes to collusion. And with the Russian campaign, even though we know there have been over 100 confirmed contacts between the Trump campaign and associates in the transition, and a lot of his folk have been in touch with Russians, and a lot of them have lied about it. But in spite of all what seems to be a treasure trove of circumstantial evidence that would suggest, by all means, that there had indeed been collusion, Dave Packard, my main man, has discovered some perspective and would like to share. And I thought it was, since the Trump cult members who obsess over Call the Reason might enjoy this as well. So we're going to give Dave a chance to break this down and tell us, why don't you think collusion necessarily is going to win the day, Dave?
I believe collusion is the wrong charge. There's no evidence of the central charge that, they actively collaborated together. That is collusion. Obstruction of justice is what people should be focusing on, not collusion. They're different. Obstruction of justice also brings under the umbrella all the financial misdeeds. And if there was collusion, if there was actively Trump in the meeting saying, okay, here's the voter, let's say the voter evidence we have, the voters we want to target, this is what I want you to do, it would be on tape somewhere. There would be a leak. They would have said, well, somebody, there's hundreds and hundreds of people working on this for 2 years, and it's the only part of the whole investigation without any leak whatsoever. There's nothing on the collusion. It's obstruction of justice. Everybody should pin their hopes for, in my opinion.
Yeah. Beth, don't type. Please don't type while we're on the radio. We can all hear that on the radio.
Pardon me.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we
just responding to some of our folks on Facebook while I'm listening. So, yeah, I mean, I think that these are the charges that are the hardest to prove. All of the best legal scholars say that that's what's the hardest to prove. And as I was saying during the break, I think the best way for us to try and parse out what Mueller has and what he doesn't have is by reading the filings whenever he arrests someone. That seems to be the clearest path to what is actually going on in the Mueller investigation. To your point, there have been almost zero leaks, and I think one of the reasons why we had such a media and elected official flurry around that BuzzFeed article is that represents the first time that Mueller has cracked open the floodgates for any sort of comment at all to the press about anything. And time and time again, we hear that obstruction of justice is hard to prove. And, you know, we'll see. What I kind of agree with the elected official that Loveless interviewed and played earlier, that the best thing is to wait and see what Mueller's report produces, unless there's other concrete evidence, provable evidence, that somehow makes it into the public prior to. I'm not saying that, you know, for every reason that Congress should not investigate and start interviewing people. I think that the investigation should take place now. But in terms of impeachment and whatnot, I do think that they need to wait for Mueller.
Yeah,
and what
I think so too. I think so too. But and I also want everyone to calm down and understand that Mueller is way smarter than a lot of these folks. And what's going to happen is, as he does see real criminal activity, he's going to continue to refer that out to relevant prosecutors where needed, because simply that's how he keeps. I mean, in other words, when the president and his people try to quash the report, all the criminal charges will have been referred out to other prosecutors, and they won't be able to stop those prosecutions. People will go to jail one way or the other, y'all. You better believe it.
And I also think that in reference to this BuzzFeed article, the other thing that has not been discussed very much is that the Southern District of New York is a different body than the special counsel.
Well, that's the point. There are several, U.S. attorneys, and when you start seeing Mueller refer out parts of his report to other attorneys, that's when you know he's going to bypass Trump being able to shut it all down. Y'all pay attention. We're going to take a short news break, top of the hour news break, but after the news, we're going to jump right back into other things going on in the country that we really need to be talking about. And Beth, of course, is going to tell somebody who deserves it to shut the hell up.
A few people, actually.
And I'm going to tell. And Beth says a few people she's going to tell. And I am going to tell some idiot who deserves it also. If I could get my main man to stop making so much noise here in the studio as well, I'm going to tell somebody to sit your ass down. Y'all stay tuned. You're right here on Call to Reason on Talk 1260 and 103.9 7 KTRC Santa Fe's News Talk leader. You're with Loveless and Beth, and we will be back after the news.
Never say no. You with that summer glow. The music gets me sung when winter starts. She told me at the baseline, everything will be alright.
You're listening to Talk 1260 KTRC.
I appreciate it, but don't.
Shakaluzu, shut up Sunday. That is a beautiful shirt.
Thank you. It's a
It is, totally.
Thank you. Dashiki hoodie.
Yeah.
Beautiful gift from my best friend, huh?
I want one. I'm going to borrow it. New Mexico. I'm going to wear that to karaoke.
Yes. Yes,
Ooh.
yes, yes. Oh, thank everybody for being here. We're doing the news now.
Hey, Dave, do you sing karaoke?
Not often, but I will. I will.
Excellent.
Why not?
The president is offering a solution, and what we have from
Oh.
Democratic leadership so far is the sound bites. In that speech yesterday from the White House, the president offered to extend temporary protection.
So, yeah, Donald Trump, we're going to talk about that, his offer, you know, at the top of the hour. We're going to go back and I'm going to, you know, try to pull it up and I don't know. I mean, it was just a rehash of it was a rehash of everything that, and then he's been tweeting ferociously today. So let me actually see what the hell that's all about.
Yeah, but I will say that even that DACA concession that he's making, Ann Coulter has already gone on Twitter and started her conservative interview circuit saying that that's a no-go for her.
Well, it should be a no-go for the Democrats, too. It should be a no-go for the Democrats, too, because he's putting a 3-year cap on it as opposed to making it permanent. And he's also, and of course, assuming he got reelected, it would expire as soon as he took office for the second term, and then everyone would be screwed because he'd already have everything he wanted. No one's falling in that stupid trick bag. You think, how dumb does he think people are to have TPS and DACA expire right when he can get reelected and then kill it anyway after he's got what he wants? Does he think we're idiots?
Well, and the point that I was trying to make with the whole Ann Coulter thing is that it does, and everybody's just like, oh, they're both siding this whole thing. Nancy Pelosi is being petty with Trump. No, what's going on here is that every time any sort of deal or concession is made in this conversation, Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh are going to pop up and say, no, we're going to take your supporters and we're going to make sure that they hate you if you concede anything at all. So
right.
The idea, this is a standoff because essentially the federal government is being held hostage by Ann Coulter, by Rush Limbaugh, and their 33% of Trump's supporters who are, as you put it, cult members who are with him no matter what. And so there's no putting pressure on Nancy Pelosi to go into an office with him and negotiate is ridiculous because his supporters are never going to go for it. And also, let's not forget, in March, we had another debt ceiling vote. That's right, folks. Are we on air? We're not on air.
We're
right?
not on air.
This shit starts all over again in March. And if she caves into him on the wall now, do you know who gets empowered at that point? It's not Donald Trump. It's Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh. And so when March rolls around, whatever sort of, let's not let Muslims in the United States anymore. Whatever the hell they want is what Trump will feel like he has to do during the next debt ceiling conversation that they have. That's 2 months away. I don't see any way around her just not sticking to her guns and forcing him to bow down. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I understand that there's 800,000 people at stake, and I'm thinking about them again in March and in the long term, and in every single time we have a debt ceiling debate. We cannot permit Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh to run the political and public policy discussion and public policy lawmaking of this country.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, Beth, I find it interesting, though, and we're going to be back, it looks like, in about 2 minutes, a minute, actually 1 minute. Beth, real quick, I think it's interesting that Rudy Giuliani is now saying that even if Trump talked to Michael Cohen about his testimony before Congress, so what if he did? Now they're trying to move the goalposts already, even though Mueller said it. You know, Mueller said what he said on the BuzzFeed thing, but now they're still trying to move the goalposts on the issue because apparently BuzzFeed does have something of value.
They do have something.
And now Giuliani's trying to dismiss, like that's not witness tampering. Like witness tampering is no longer a big deal either. It's amazing how the man who used to say there's no such thing as a small crime actually doesn't view anything as a crime anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting how that happened.
The emphasis on this BuzzFeed article is completely it's too much. It's too big. Because
here we go.
There's already Mueller documentation saying that Trump knew that he was going to lie.
Yeah. Okay.
Non-GMO, purely organic source.
Okay, here we go.
Common sense. This is Call to Reason with your hosts Loveless Johnson III and Beth Cope here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
Right here from the studios of Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. You're with Loveless and Beth and our special studio guest, Dave Packard, right here on Call to Reason. And we were discussing over the commercial break some of these elements surrounding the Mueller investigation and why we shouldn't necessarily assume that his remarks about the BuzzFeed article mean that there is no credibility to the article. And I would like to remind everyone that Michael Cohen is going to be testifying before Congress on February 7th, and he'll be doing so with the permission of the Southern District of New York and Robert Mueller.
Yeah.
He'll do so against the backdrop of watching Paul Manafort continue to lie after being convicted and prior to sentencing. And surely he's not going to take surely he's taking a cue from that, and he won't be going to Congress to lie. We also know that he won't be saying anything that Mueller and the Southern District of New York have not already approved, which means that he won't be saying anything that does not have a treasure trove of corroborating evidence to back it up. No one, not even Michael Cohen, is suggesting that you believe Michael Cohen. Trump and Giuliani and all of them can continue to call him a lie. They can continue to attack him as a liar. Everybody knows he's a liar. Sure, he's a liar. But that doesn't matter. All he is the corroborator for the real evidence that's there. So we know everything he discussed. It will be 100% truthful. We know that it is corroborated by evidence that Mueller and the Southern District of New York have and are authorizing him to discuss before Congress in a public setting. and we know it's going to be thrilling, to say the least.
Yeah, so Loveless, some interesting things about the BuzzFeed article. One is that while Mueller's office says that the leaks did not, that this information did not come from the office, and that was one of the issues with the characterization that was made that they had a problem with, that doesn't mean the Southern District of New York does not have a leak issue. So,
and it doesn't mean that what they reported wasn't true. It doesn't. They didn't say what was reported was true. They say it was not characterized the proper way, which means it was characterized as coming from the special counsel's office. So that could be the mischaracter. They didn't even clarify the mischaracterization remark. They just said it was a mischaracterization. The mischaracterization could have been that it did not come from us.
And
not that it's not true.
I think the reason why Mueller decided, and this is pure speculation on my part, but I think that the reason why Mueller stepped in on this part was that if the BuzzFeed article is true, then, and it's corroborated through other members of the media, then actually Congress has standing to launch impeachment proceedings. And it's quite possible that by investigating that, it might step in Mueller's way in his investigation. And so I kind of think that might be one of the other reasons why, and he, because a lot of times when reporters get little factoids and things wrong, we've had years where Mueller hasn't said boo about anything, but it was the time when there was evidence where Congress said, this is enough evidence for us to go ahead and start impeachment proceedings if it's true. And I think that was the line that Mueller had to draw in order to protect his investigation. And I'm not saying that what he said is not true. I think it's completely believable that they are not the source of that information. I think that it's just extremely nuanced, and unfortunately, if BuzzFeed got that wrong, they're sourcing that has to be right, and so they kind of deserve that scrutiny. But I also think that it's blown completely out of proportion, because what do we know? We already know that Trump has been identified as person one in one of the documents, saying that Cohen, that person one was aware that Cohen was going to go to Congress and lie. Now, is that the same as telling Cohen to lie? Perhaps not. But we already have enough information where we can start pointing fingers a little bit.
And now Rudy Giuliani's trying to back. He's changing the goalposts again and saying, well, if Trump did if he did discuss the hearing before, if he did talk to Cohen before the hearing, so what? Yeah, it's just a cluster. You know what?
Absolutely. And the other thing.
Hold on, man. Let me let Dave get a comment in here. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. The only thing I wanted to add is, once again, they're not talking about collusion, because that's why Love brought me in. They're talking about the Moscow project and the money, and the paying women for the cover-up. So they're both financial crimes, but not colluding directly with the Russians for the election.
That's right. But it's about lying and perjury. And supporting perjury, right?
Right, so, and that's exactly what it's about. And let me, I'm going to shift gears. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be time for Beth to tell somebody, and apparently she's going to tell somebodies to shut the hell up. We're also going to touch on the shutdown and the offer that Trump made and the Democratic response as well. And, of course, I'm going to tell somebody who deserves it to sit your ass down here at the earliest possible moment that I can as well. We've got winners and winners also, and a lot more to discuss on our way down the home stretch leading in to Meet the Press. It comes up at the top of the hour. 9:14 right here from the studios of Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. If you want to get in touch with us on social media, please feel free. Call to Reason Reality Talk Radio is our group. Call to Reason. That's called the number 2. Reason is our page. We're on Twitter, Loveless and Beth. Loveless, the letter N, Beth. Loveless and Beth on Twitter, and Call to Reason on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Y'all look for us, follow us, share us, join us, and we'd love to have you as part of Team Red Pill. If you'd like to be on Call to Reason, you have an organization, a nonprofit, a cause, send me an email, loveless@santafe.com. That's loveless@santafe.com, and I can hear your issues. And if your organization has a great cause, we'll even bring you in, have you on the show, and feature you, and have an event with you as part of our Call to Reason Cares campaign for 2019. We're going to be working with a lot of great venues here in the city, hosting events for giving back in Santa Fe. Great, great time we're going to have this year. Y'all make sure you stay tuned. It's 23 degrees on our way to a high of 45. And you're on Call to Reason. 9:15, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
This hour is brought to you by Keishi, the Zuni Connection at 227 Don Gaspar.
Keishi and Happy New Year, each and every one. We here at Keishi, the Zuni Connection, are feeling grateful for the lessons and blessings of the past year, and we're beginning 2019 in the best of spirits. Here it's still the most wonderful time of year because it's time for our annual sale. This is an in-store only sale intended to show our appreciation to our local customers, who are our most constant support and inspiration. January 11th through the month's end, 99% of our phenomenal inventory of exquisite jewelry, pottery, and fetishes is available to you at our wholesale prices. So throw another resolution on the pile and resolve not to miss this once-a-year opportunity. Add more beauty to your life, refresh and feed your soul, and enjoy Keishi, the Zuni Connection's 38th annual sale. When you think Keishi, think authenticity. It's the real deal. Open daily at 227 Don Gaspar Avenue, next to the Water Street parking lot.
Roof leaks and repairs are...
All right, everybody. Thank you all who are here for being with us on social media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beth, there's so much going on still this week. McConnell playing games. I'm going to do a few Red Pill reality check items that really we just cannot ignore before you do the shut the hell up. For example, looks like this trade thing with China might be cooling down. Both sides are looking to make concessions. And so we'll see how it goes. China is claiming they're going to spend $1 trillion to try and lower the United States trade deficit. So we'll see if that actually happens.
Trump is losing support among farmers, so that doesn't surprise me that, with him not polling well with the base, he's going to have to probably start making some concessions to his voters that he's making suffer.
Couple of Red Pill reality check items. Number one, Trump supporters are starting to diminish. We're seeing the numbers go down. Number two, people keep talking about, the wall, and Trump keeps saying, we're going to break down a few of the things he said that were just inaccurate in this next, after you do your piece. Visa
You know, he didn't talk
overstays.
about this deal that he tried to put on the table.
Visa overstays.
Ridiculous.
Visa overstays were very, very. They, you know, him claiming that the wall would reduce illegal immigration, illegal border crossings by 50%, or it would. It's just a lie. Because given that most of the illegal immigration is because of visa overstays, and I also want to just point out to people very quickly. Don't need to discuss it. It's just something to really let marinate. The first time in the 242 year history of this country, the military, a branch of the military is not getting paid. And that's never happened. Even when George Washington was crossing the Delaware in the dead of winter, and he still figured out how to feed people and get them paid when the country wasn't even official yet. And we've never reneged on our promise to the people that literally fight to keep the whole thing together. How could you not pay the military and then blame it on somebody else and play games with it? Here we go.
To Reason, your dose of common sense and reality radio, with your hosts Beth Cope and Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's.
So Beth, make this as concise as you can. Really concise on the shut the hell up so we can work through this other stuff, okay?
All right.
Can't stop addicted to the shindig. Chop top, it says I'm gonna win big. Choose not to like of imitation. Just get us into the reservation.
9:21 a.m. right here on Call to Reason. You're with Loveless and Beth on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. 28 degrees right here on our way to a high of 45 in the beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it is time, everyone, that special time where we all sit back because we cannot wait to hear who Beth is going to tell to shut the hell up. Beth, who is the lucky winner or winners this week?
Well, since I have to keep it short, since we have other things to get to, I'm gonna hold it off to one, I guess, winner, if you will, this week. And it actually pains me to do this because I'm a big fan of the Boston Globe and their, especially their spotlight investigative journalists who broke open the whole Catholic Church sex abuse scandal. And I'm a big fan of this paper, but I am so angry with them today. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to tell them and their columnist, their conservative columnist, Jeff Jacoby, shut the hell up. And here's why. Jeff Jacoby has unilaterally, as a privileged, affluenza-afflicted white man, decided to tell our country on MLK Day weekend that as MLK foresaw, racism in America has largely been overcome. Really? Wow. Thank God we have this white privileged dude with the ink of a prestigious newspaper to inform us of this today. Let me read you a quick excerpt. In 1964, a mere 18% of white Americans claimed to have a friend who was black. 4 decades later, Gallup found that the proportion of interracial friendships had more than quadrupled. 82% of whites said that they had close non-white friends. And 88% of blacks reported having close friends who were not black. This man thinks because he has a black friend that racism is over. What a load of bovine excrement. And he needs to shut the hell up. Oh my God. And the opinion page and the editorial board editors of the Boston Globe really need to shut the hell up. There is a Harvard study that's in their town, in Boston, that essentially unilaterally shatters everything this man said in an op-ed, and the paper gives its prestigious platform to lie to the American people, because that's what this is. Lie. It's a lie. It's a lie in a headline to say that racism has been largely overcome. That is a lie. And the Boston Globe printed that lie as an opinion piece. But you know what, Loveless? I was in PR for several years. I had my own company. And when we were working on the Smoke-Free Air Act, we had an abundance of facts and citations and expertise showing that Smoke-Free Air Act would have a healthy impact on Georgians. And do you know that I worked with the editorial board editor for a Columbus, Georgia newspaper? We went back and forth. He fact-checked me as he's supposed to do. I had to work hard to make sure that, with my client, to make sure that piece was published. What the hell is going on at the Boston Globe? They are lying to the American people about racism on the weekend of the Martin Luther King holiday. And that's why the editorial board of the Boston Globe needs to shut the hell up until they do something about it. The people who own the paper need to shut the hell up until they do something about it. And Jeff Jacoby can just shut the hell up forever. The author.
Well, I guess y'all heard that. Great job, Beth. And I think they should shut the hell up as well. I'm going to say here. We're going to go ahead and jump into another commercial break so we can come back and spend a little bit more time breaking down our weekly Red Pill reality check. We're going to go through some rapid realities that you all need to know about on the other side of this break. And then I'm going to tell someone who deserves it to sit your ass down. Excellent. And of course, there are several good candidates, but you got to wait to hear who's going to sit down this week. All right? You're on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, 927. And we will be right back.
You can't shut me down. 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 You're missing me, but I can see I've got to be by myself. I don't even think I know what it is. I'm digging this, I'm taking this, making this from content. Maybe I'm crazy, you gotta blame me. You can't shut me down, you turn me off, I'm like it. Touch the ground, why you so rough? You can't shut me down, you can't shut me down, you can't shut me down, you can't shut me down.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for meeting me at Ahori's. How are you?
I've been feeling tired.
Have a cup of good coffee.
I've been forgetful.
Bloody Show coffee improves memory.
I'm feeling out of shape.
Quality coffee has been shown to optimize your workout.
Okay. What about my fear of death? Can you solve that?
Well, in 2 large epidemiological studies, drinking coffee was associated with a lower risk of death by all causes.
I should try coffee.
All right, y'all. Thank you for being here.
I'm still waiting to hear what Conway's husband has to say today.
Oh, right.
Did you hear me, Beth?
Watching his Twitter account, it's like the only redeeming part of all of this, having to deal with Kellyanne Conway. What do you imagine it's like in their household, Dave?
Oh, I imagine it. I mean, it's got to be a lot of fun. they are going to write the best book or get the best talk show ever. You know, like the James Carville plan.
Yeah, but with James Carville and Mary Macklen, I mean, like, they weren't liars. You know what I mean? Like, Kellyanne Conway, say what you will about Mary Macklen. I mean, she's not a liar.
No, not a liar.
It's just a liar. I guess maybe they'll have their own reality TV show with their 4 kids and an intense household. I don't even. How are they even still married?
That's what I want to know. I would love to see them in a split screen or in a bottom third, commenting on everything, just flipping through the channels. Because, I think she really hates Trump too. They just haven't signed the book deal yet.
What's interesting is that, and I hate Morning Joe, but I saw this article about when she had appeared on their show before the election. And I think she, like everybody else, just assumed that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And she, after her segment was over, she was like, this is off the record. But, working for Trump, I feel like I have to take a shower now, And I'm just like, and how can you continue to work for someone? Is she getting paid out the wazoo? What is her motivation? And what's interesting is that, she worked for Todd Akin, and then she worked for Ted Cruz. All of these people, and if you'll remember, Todd Akin is the candidate that Claire McCaskill beat whenever he said that women, if they were truly raped, couldn't get pregnant as a result of that.
Well, their body had a natural shutdown method.
Right.
Wow. Well, at least, he worked for the Boston Globe, I believe.
But Kellyanne Conway kind of has a history of working for the most sexist. We're not on the air, right?
No.
Yeah, we're in a commercial break. For the most sexist piece of shit men in politics.
Oh yeah.
But she needs to take a shower because of Trump, please.
I mean, how much work?
I don't know how she lives with herself.
My question is, how much work does her husband's law firm get from, just being close to her? That's got to be the pay. Follow the money. Oh, wait, 24 seconds we have. Look at it.
What was that?
Oh, no. We have 15, 14. I can't say. Is it the next?
Oh, seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to +1 on your comment.
All right, here we go.
Okay, here we go, y'all.
3.
Your dose of common sense and reality radio with your hosts Beth Cope and Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader.
Why don't you just let go and quiet down your ego? Don't complain about finance. I know your daddy want a real man. Go ahead and live your dreams. To me, you're stronger than the whole team. I know you can't relax, and you don't want me to know that. I see you work real hard. You want to help your friends, but trust me, baby, you don't owe them. Don't take on people's problems.
9:33 right here on Call a Reason with Loveless and Beth. We're in the studios of Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader. And we could not be happier than to be here with your weekly alternative to alternate reality. Right here on Call a Reason. And Beth, it is time for me to... I'm going to run through a quick sit your ass down. Then we're going to take it on into a red pill reality check. We've got a few things we need to let folks know about that are just going on that they need to know and marinate on throughout the week, leading into next week. So what I can say is that I'm really tired of hearing, you know, propaganda. Seems like all I'm getting from the White House and from his minions in the Trump universe of cult delusion is lies and things that just don't match with reality. I keep hearing a lot of the same things that are not based on reality. The president yesterday made a big announcement. You know, everything has to be like, you know, it's almost like he's a party promoter. He's always making announcements that he's going to make an announcement. Yeah, that's how party promoters do. They always announce they're going to make an announcement. You know, so now we got the announcers making an announcement, and here he is.
He's fixing to do something.
Yeah, he's fixing to do something. So he you know, so then he comes out and he's going to make this grand statement and speech on the shutdown and the border security. And essentially all he did was repeat the failed, widely mocked and criticized, completely factless Oval Office address he gave saying that this was a crisis and he might threaten a national emergency and blah, 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 blah. He just basically took that same speech, added a few hard but misleading statistics onto it. Like, you know, drug use, 90% of the drugs used come across the southern border, but he didn't specify that, you know, anyway, those numbers were so miscued because drug abuse included alcoholism, it included a lot of other things he was talking about. And then he, of course, once again lied and said that 115 miles of walls had been contracted, were under construction. He said under construction, and he realized that was totally a lie. So then in the moment of the lie, he backed it up and said, oh, well, I meant that they contracted, which is also a lie. That's also a flat out lie, okay? Then he offered to DACA for 3 years, extend DACA for 3 years, extend TPS for 3 years. Here, let me just let you listen to what this fool had to say himself, and then I'm going to tell you why he needs to, just pay attention now.
Our plan includes the following. $800 million in urgent humanitarian assistance. $805 million for drug detection technology to help secure our ports of entry. An additional 2,750 border agents and law enforcement professionals. 75 new immigration judge teams to reduce the court backlog of, believe it or not, almost 900,000 cases in order to build the trust and goodwill necessary to begin real immigration reform. There are two more elements to my plan. Number one is 3 years of legislative relief for 700,000 DACA recipients brought here unlawfully by their parents at a young age many years ago. This extension will give them access to work permits, social security numbers, and protection from deportation, most importantly. Secondly, our proposal provides a 3-year extension of temporary protected status, or TPS. This means that 300,000 immigrants whose protected status is facing expiration will now have 3 more years of certainty so that Congress can work on a larger immigration deal, which everybody wants, Republicans and Democrats. And our farmers and vineyards won't be affected because lawful and regulated entry into our country will be easy and consistent. That is our plan. Border security, DACA, TPS, and many other things. Straightforward, fair, reasonable, and common sense.
Common sense, my ass. First of all, extending DACA for 3 years, meaning just long enough for me to get reelected and reinaugurated. Then it expires. I've got my wall, and y'all are ass out. Same for the TPS folk. Surely, Mr. Trump does not think that the Democrats in Congress nor the American people are that stupid to see through that rigged deal. That would be a non-starter for me on the face. 3 years? What do you mean? How about 7 years? Let's make sure you're good and gone before it has to come back up. Number one. Number two, stop telling people you've contracted 115 miles of wall. You have not. Congress did not authorize it. It was not appropriated. Therefore, you could not have possibly legally done it. Stop saying that lie. Stop saying the lie. Stop saying the lie. If you have a good point, if you really, really are that right and everything you're doing is that spot on, why are you lying about every aspect of it? Stop it and sit your ass down. Mr. Trump, I'm so sick of your propaganda, manipulative rhetoric. I'm not in the cult. And neither is over 60% of the country, sir. No one gets excited about your lying. No one is buying it. So sit your ass down, you and your cult, and every other American. Dig deep inside yourself and find the patriot there and stand your ass up. We've got a criminal in the White House. We've got a criminal operation permeated throughout the entire administration. We know that all but 11 of the Republicans in the United States Senate have been flipped and are now Russian agents along with Donald Trump. They could vote to lift sanctions on an oligarch and his business last week, but they couldn't vote to reopen the government. Mitch McConnell wouldn't even take it up. Why would he not let the Senate vote? Because he took an oath to Trump instead of to the American people and the Constitution, apparently. And they're lock, stock, and barrel promoting and implementing Putin's agenda. And it is sick. And you, within the sound of my voice, if you are an American, you need to find the patriot inside yourself and stand your ass up. Because now it's time to take it to the streets, y'all. Beth, quick red pill reality check. First time in the 242-year history of America, Coast Guard's not getting paid. We are not paying our military for the first time in the history of the country. And now Donald Trump has made this so-called compromise speech, and he now is going to try to flip the whole narrative back to the, well, I offered a compromise. See, I offered him DACA, I offered him TPS, I offered him a bunch of BS. Oh, and by the way, I still want my wall. And no, we can't open the government until you just give me this, and then we can open the government. We can't have this conversation with the government open. We have to have the conversation with the government closed. And therefore, it doesn't matter that the United States military, the people who, I mean literally, keep America free, are not getting paid, but expected to continue to serve. That's just not cool, y'all. First time in 242 years ever in American history. Beth, that is, to me, the most egregious red pill reality check there is, along with the fact that all statistics prove that 4 times more people are here as quote-unquote undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens because they overstayed their visa, not because they snuck across the southern border. That's also a red pill reality check that is real. Okay?
And that they also, statistics show and point to that people who immigrate to the United States are way less likely to commit crime compared to those who are born here and who are citizens here.
Right.
That's another red pill reality check.
Right. Red pill reality check. Donald Trump canceled Nancy Pelosi's trip to Afghanistan, citing security concerns over the shutdown and the use of government planes and resources, and then an hour later, Melania jumped on a government plane and went down to vacation in Mar-a-Lago. Red pill reality check, folks. The hypocrisy is real. And Lindsey Graham went to Turkey. Yeah, and Lindsey Graham went to Turkey. That's another red pill reality check. The hypocrisy is ridiculous. It's growing more strong every day. And I'm telling you, Mitch McConnell is just as much of a Russian agent as Trump. And I'm now calling this the Trump-McConnell shutdown. I don't care what concessions he claimed to have made yesterday. All he did was repeat the Oval Office speech, added some statistics to it, threw in DACA on a rigged sham deal. And that doesn't go anywhere. And I don't blame the Democrats for not being interested in hearing about that. And I certainly don't blame them for not wanting to have the discussion while the government is closed. There's no reason the government to be closed to have this discussion.
And Loveless, you know, and I think I was mentioning this during the break, but the thing is that we in March we have another debt ceiling vote, and if we allow Trump to hold our government hostage because Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter says so, that effectively means that Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter are setting the public policy agenda for the United States of America. That's what that means.
That's what that means. That's what it means every time.
Every time it comes up for a vote.
Yep. Final red pill reality check today. Donald Trump did not want a single dollar going to Puerto Rico's hurricane recovery. We just found out from a story in The Intellectualist. When the whole thing went down, he told John Kelly and Office of Management and Budget Director at the time, Mitch Mulvaney, to not send Puerto Rico a single dollar if they could help it during the recovery efforts. He literally never wanted a single dollar to go to the brown American citizens of Puerto Rico. Y'all let that marinate. We're going to take a short break and come back with our winners and winners. We're also going to break down everything else we can. Me, Beth, and Dave, when we come back from this break. Y'all stay tuned right here with Loveless and Beth on Call to Reason. It is 9:46, and we'll be right back.
Too long in a one to get to. Round's been going on, let's protest. What is real, really done right. For God's sake, I and I as I watch it around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel. I and I should never hold like peace while that is going on. Day or night, man, bust down Babylon gates as they prepare the way, preparing the way for your people. Fight down war and crime, fight down war and crime, fight down war and crime. And be of righteousness, you know, Jah Rastafari, Jah Rastafari, Jah Rastafari, preserve.
Stay tuned for more Call.
Y'all didn't think I was gonna have Shaka Zulu Sunday and not play my reggae, huh? That's one of my jams, y'all. Hey, brother. Hey, Shay. What's up? Shalindra Waters Scott right here from Southern University. Delta Sigma Theta. Dear friend, old classmate. Good to see you, Shay. And stay strong. Shalindra standing with the 30,000 teachers in Los Angeles who are on strike for righteous reasons. She's one of them. Stay strong, Shay. We with you. And if you want to call in and talk about the strike, tell us what's happening on the ground. Dial on in. We'll make room for you right now. 505-424-1260, Shay. 505-424-1260. If you want to call in and tell us what's happening on the ground with the LA teacher strike so we can get people across the country fired up about this, we ready to join you, sister. Hit us up. Dial on in. And we definitely will talk about it during the podcast this week and more on the thing. Matter of fact, that we should get a spokesperson from the LA, from the teachers, because what's happening out there is just ridiculous. They've been getting shit on forever, and I'm surprised it took them this long, honestly, to stand up and do something about what's been going on there.
So Violet Reesberg joined us.
Hey, Violet.
I'm not sure if it's Violette or if it's Violet.
It's Violet. It's Violet.
And, she joined us and just chimed in 100% Loveless. And Sylvia Rossi noted when I was complaining about the fact that Lindsey Graham was granted the permission to go see Erdogan in Turkey, she put in her 2 cents that it was to meet the fascist dictator Erdogan. And you're here. It's absolutely true, Sylvia. Thank you for adding that little tidbit.
We know how to order in a restaurant. When you ask us how it's prepared, you'll probably just get a shrug. We know how to eat.
Yeah, and I commented on our Facebook page all that, and I'll say it during the break, that if Melania should just have her jacket, somebody paint on the back of her jacket, eat cake bitches, and just call it a day, right?
Choice. So don't get overwhelmed by insurance language that's foreign. Don't try to figure out what's going on at the state or federal level on health insurance by yourself. Call me. I'll give you a free copy of my menu and free consultation to review the menu options for 2019. I can be reached at
we didn't even talk about Brexit at all either. There's too much.
There's too much American shit going on right now.
Or William Barr.
Yeah, we didn't talk about William Barr either. We probably should touch him a bit. Just to say it's likely he'll be confirmed. We'll give Dave a chance to jump in on that one too. We're gonna have about.
Let's see what the Boston Globe has to say.
We're gonna have about. We're gonna have about 8 minutes when we come back.
Okay, Dave, what was that about the Boston Globe?
Oh, I said I got to see what they have to say about William Barr and his pardoning Caspar Weinberger in '92.
Oh yeah.
It's really, it's crazy.
Tune into them, but I just cannot believe that they let someone just flat out lie and say that racism has been overcome. What the hell?
Maybe it has been, and we don't know what we're talking. If they say so.
Yeah. Right.
If they say so, man. It's crazy. What part of Jersey are you in right now?
I live in Jersey City.
Oh, okay. I grew up there.
But it's just right across the Hudson River.
Sure.
Dave grew up in Jersey City.
Well, no, I grew up in Edison. My mom was a teacher there.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Here we go.
FMU.
To Call to Reason, your dose of common sense and reality radio, with your hosts Beth Cope and Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
What's up, Judge Sharp? I see you, brother. A506. Judge Alvin Sharp is with us. But here we go, y'all. $9:53 right here on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. You're on Call to Reason with Loveless and Beth, and we are headed down the home stretch leading in to Meet the Press. And we're going to shout out a few winners and winners before we go. But before we do that, we want to bring Dave back in and talk a little bit more Red Pill reality check. We do have a new Attorney General that may be confirmed here soon, William Barr, former Attorney General under George H.W. Bush. Dave, you had some interesting perspective about him you wanted to share with us. Go ahead with that, brother.
Yes, I just don't want anybody to forget that Barr is the one who approved the pardons for the elder Bush, and the prosecutor at the time did call it a cover-up. I mean, the whole Iran-Contra affair he was the attorney. He provided the legal advice for the cover-up. So people, we can't forget that.
And several people who should have gone to jail were pardoned very quietly. America really didn't notice at the time, but yeah, George H.W. Bush pardoned all the people who should have gone to jail for Iran-Contra. And that's because he had been involved.
And did any of the members of the Senate Hearing Committee, did any of them ask him questions about that? I didn't see any of that.
I didn't see any of that at all. How about you, Dave?
No, they didn't ask him about that. They've all worked with him for 20 years. They're going to ask him how he's doing. Is he comfortable? The Boston Globe said there's nothing there. Let's pick on them today.
Yeah, I guess that does it then, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad I told them to shut the hell up today.
The emolument stuff is going to heat up too. There's a blockbuster reporter from ABC News that says the government agency ignored the Constitution in the Trump Hotel lease. That lease should have been canceled. This whole thing of emoluments is heating up big time, and I suspect that before it's all said and done, it could be some attorneys general that ultimately really find some evidence of things that America should be extraordinarily concerned about and just refuse to accept. At some point, there will come a breaking point where even the cult won't be able to defend this criminal enterprise anymore.
Well, we've seen the cult slip in poll data this week, and so maybe that's already happening.
Yep, he's down to 37% approval. The disapproval is growing, and America is remaining solid that this shutdown is Donald Trump's fault and the Republicans in Congress by a large margin still, 20-point swing in that regard. And Dave, what did you want to say about that?
I wanted to add that although he hasn't lost the evangelical vote yet, it's unfathomable.
There's no way he ever will, because they are not real Christians. They're evangelicals. There's a Jesus industrial complex. These people aren't Christians for real. They don't care about what Jesus would do. Every position they take on any of these social and political and economic, any issue, every position they take on every issue is the exact opposite of what Jesus would do. That's why I call them the Jesus industrial complex. They're not part of the Christianity that I grew up in. They certainly, Mama J wouldn't want to have anything to do with them, that I can tell you. And so, who knows? Let's pick out some winners this week. Dave will give you a crack. You got any winners for the week?
Well, the winners will be the American people this week. I mean, I want everybody in the audience to take a look at the crooksandliars.com blog, because Devin Nunes, it's all coming down to he will get in trouble. He will be the fall guy, and that's the winner. I guess I'm the winner because of my distaste for Devin Nunes.
That's pretty fair-minded. Beth, how about you? Who's your winner this week?
Yeah, well, you remember during the Kavanaugh hearings when the Republicans and the conservatives were saying elections have consequences. Indeed, they do. And this week, Nancy Pelosi proved it by saying our liar president is not going to be allowed to come into the people's house and lie to the American people under the guise of the State of the Union address. So she's my winner. Plus, this lovely gentleman, Dennis Perkins, on Twitter, who said in response to the Boston Globe article, "End affirmative action for mediocre white boys in newsrooms. Hear, hear."
That's cool. My winner this week are all the people who remain committed to citizen action. We had a big weekend of women's marches, and although numbers are dwindling as passions have been redirected to other specific areas of activism,
That's right.
And controversy has surrounded some of the leadership in the Women's March. The women that showed up anyway to let this president and let the country know they're not going anywhere except doubling down for 2020. And all
they're in the tens of thousands. It's not like it's a small crowd.
And all the members of the community that joined them, men, children, all of you who continue to show that citizen action matters and you're continuing to be committed, that even your ordinary self is going to do something extraordinary. You're my winner. We got to go. We'll see you next week. Meet the Press is coming up next. Call to Reason, CTR on the side. Our podcast is too. We'll see you next week, y'all.
You're listening to Talk 1260 KTRC AM at 1037
All right, y'all.
Press the meat.
All right, y'all. That was another great show. Thank every one of you who joined us. I had a great time, and I hope you all did too. Beth, any post-mortem on the way out?
2 hours isn't long enough for us, Loveless.
No, we need to start a campaign to get us on Monday through Friday. We tried it for a while, but I think we need to literally now have our fans and supporters and Team Red Pill bombard Scott Hutton.
And I figured it out.
The owner of Hutton Broadcasting with email saying, please put Call to Reason on 5 days a week. We need Call to Reason Monday through Friday. If y'all start emailing Scott, SCOTT, at santafe.com, that's pretty easy, Scott at santafe.com. We want Call to Reason every day. Call to Reason Monday through Friday. However you want to say it, tell him you want it. If he gets enough emails, I promise you he'll call me and say he wants to do it.
Oh, I figured something out. I'm so excited, Beth. I figured it out. Betsy DeVos taught the people at the Boston Globe about how racism is over. They learned it from her school. That's what it is. Betsy DeVos' school.
Right on, y'all. Okay, listen, everybody. We got to go. Good luck to all your football teams today. Should be a great day of fun. And if you're going up to the mountain, have a good time, too. Otherwise,
everybody stay warm.
Stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you Tuesday for Call to Reason CTR on the Side podcast. And we love you. God bless. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Do they have the YouTube where there's no ads here? Like, do you have to go through that 5-second skip ad?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you opened up a million windows.
Yeah, I don't pay for YouTube. So.